Hi, boys and girls. It is Mrs. Pohlman. I am going to introduce you to one of my favorite contemporary artists, Wayne Thiebaud. He is a painter who lives in California, and he's most famous for making paintings of really realistic looking desserts. So here's one of his paintings. It's of a piece of pie. Looks delicious. There's not too much going on in the painting except for the pie, and he really adds a lot of texture and detail to his desserts. If you look closely, you can actually see how the pie itself looks like it has frosting on it, but we know he didn't use frosting on his painting. What he did was he actually uses a painting knife, and he paints the paint onto the canvas using a painting knife and makes it extra thick so that it looks realistic. Here's another one of his paintings of two ice cream cones. If you've ever been to Friendly's and gotten one of those ice cream cones that look like that, they are delicious. And then another one of my favorite paintings of his of cupcakes. They look so realistic that I could almost smell the chocolate, taste the sugar. Boys and girls, are you hungry yet? I thought it would be fun today to show you how to draw a donut. So I have two different versions of donuts here that I've drawn. One is a pencil donut that I added some shading to, and that is what I'm going to teach you how to do today. And if you draw the pencil donut and you want to add some color, of course you can. I used color pencils to add color to this one right over the top of the pencil. So let's get started. All you need is a pencil and a plain sheet of paper. So I start my donut with just an oval in the center of the page. You want it to be more of a wide oval instead of a tall oval. And then once you have your oval, you can add two lines in the center. One that looks a little bit like a smile, and one not quite connected above it that looks a little bit like a frown. Okay. After you have those two lines, you're going to connect at the bottom of the smile, and you're going to come up and turn that into your frosting, sort of dripping near the hole in the donut. And the frosting line is really just a wavy line of frosting. Then I'm going to add some more frosting along the bottom. Have fun with this line. It can be whatever you want it to be. Frosting doesn't have to be a specific way. And all of a sudden it looks a lot like a donut already, doesn't it? So the next thing I want to do is add a little bit of shading, okay? And shading means that I'm adding some darks and lights to my drawing to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. So it has form instead of just being flat. Am I really making it 3D? No, it's the illusion of it being 3D. That's kind of the cool thing about adding shading to the drawing. It's tricking the eye into thinking that it looks 3D. So I'm making it a little bit darker below the frosting, and then I'm really going to add sort of a dark line where the hole of the donut meets the plate below it. And then I'm also going to put some shading right here in the hole of the donut because there's not going to be a lot of light getting in there. I'm using the edge of my pencil. I'm not really using the point. I'm not holding it straight up and down. And that will get you a little bit of a softer shading effect. Then I'm going to start to add some shading along the bottom of my donut. And I want to have three different values. I want to have like a middle gray, which is kind of what this one is. I want to have a slightly lighter one up above it. And then right along the bottom, I want to have a darkest gray. So thinking back to art class, I want you to think about where the light is hitting this donut. The light is coming from the top of the donut, and that's why it's the darkest along the bottom and the lightest along the top. Okay, then I also want to add a shadow underneath the donut. It's called a cast shadow, where there's a little shadow of the donut on the table or on the plate or whatever it's sitting on. And that shadow is going to be pretty light. Again, I'm using the side of my pencil, not the very tip. You want your shadows to be kind of subtle. They're not very bold. And then I like to use the edge of my finger to just go back in and blend these shadows a little bit, soften up the edges. Because if you look at a shadow, sometimes it's hard to tell where they end and where they begin. They're kind of, they're very subtle lines. Okay, so there's my donut. Then if you want to add some other details or decorations onto them, of course you can. So I'm a fan of donuts with sprinkles on them. So I'm going to go ahead and add some diagonal lines to show the sprinkles. And voila, I have a donut with some value. Boys and girls, if you make your own picture of a donut, please email it to me and I can put it on our Art from Home website. My email address is sarah.pohlman@redclay.k12.delaware.us. All right, boys and girls, hope you're doing well. Stay creative.